Good morning everyone, welcome again. Today we will discuss about nerve impulses in biological basis of human behavior. Let's start. A neuron fires an impulse when it receives signals from sense receptors that are stimulated by pressure, heat or light, and it is stimulated by chemical messages from adjacent neurons. Information travels within the nervous system in the form of a nerve impulse. When stimulus energy comes into contact with the receptors, electrical charge changes in the nerve potential start. And nerve potential is a sudden change in the electrical potential of a surface of a neuron. When the stimulus energy is relatively weak, the electrical changes are so small and the nerve impulse is not generated, and we do not feel the stimulus. If the stimulus energy is relatively strong, electrical impulses are generated and conducted towards the central nervous system. The strength of nerve impulse, however, does not depend on the strength of the stimulus that started the impulse. If these signals exceed a minimum intensity called the threshold, they trigger an impulse. The impulse, called the action potential, is a brief electrical charge that travels down to the axon. And the neuron's reaction is an all or none response, meaning they either fire or no, which means that they either respond completely or do not respond at all. The strength of the nerve impulse remains constant along the nerve fiber. A strong stimulus cannot trigger a stronger or false impulse, but they can trigger more neurons to fire. When the action potential reaches the terminal at an axon end, it triggers the release of chemical messengers called neurotransmitters onto the synapse, a gap between axon and dendrites of adjacent neurons called synapse. Here is more about nerve impulse. These neurotransmitters molecules cross the synaptic gap and bind to the receptor site on the dendrite of the receiving neuron. This allows electrically charged atoms to enter the receiving neuron and excite or inhibit a new action potential. Here, now you can see a structure of transmission of nerve impulse through synapse. This is a figure. Information is transmitting from one place to another within a nervous system in the form of a neural impulse. A single neuron can carry a neural impulse up to distance covered by the length of its axon. When the impulse is to be conducted to a distant part of the body, a number of neurons participate in the process. In this process, one neuron faithfully relays the information to the neighboring neuron. The axon tip of proceeding neuron make functional connection or synapse with dendrites of the other neuron. A neuron is never physically connected with another neuron. Rather than, there is a small gap between the two. This gap is known as synaptic cleft. And the neural impulse from one neuron is transmitted by a complex synaptic transmission process to another neuron. So the conduction of nerve impulses in the axon is electrochemical, while the nature of synaptic transmission is chemical. So the chemical substances are known as neuron transmitter. Here is also in basic structure of neuron, terminal button release chemical known as neuron transmitter substances, and neurotransmitter may be classified into two, excitatory or inhibitory. It could be excitatory or inhibitory. So this is about we have discussed today synapse and nerve impulses. Next time we will move further. Thank you.